They say everyone loves a comeback until they remember what you did to deserve the fall. I'm Emily Caldwell, and the man the city is cheering for today, the one shaking hands, kissing babies, promising a new chapter, is my brother, Ethan, the golden child, the heir to every good opinion in every room. People ask me why we don't speak. They say, family is everything. They don't know what he did to mine. They don't know what he did to me. Years ago, when my cousin Nathan framed me for embezzlement, Ethan stood at a podium and did the right thing. That's what the headlines called it. Ethical leader denounces family corruption. But it wasn't ethics. It was opportunity. He didn't just step away from me, he pushed. He fed reporters my private emails, clipped sentences so they sounded incriminating, called board members late at night to guide their vote against me, and went on television to say, I'm heartbroken, but the law is the law. He launched his political career on the bones of my reputation. While I slept on a bare mattress in a Vermont cabin, stitching my name back together one fact at a time. Ethan smiled into cameras and called it integrity. So when I saw his new campaign posters go up, a second chance for our city, I felt the old familiar taste of iron in my mouth. Not rage. Not even grief. Clarity. He had never changed. He had only grown more careful. The donors were slicker. The dinners quieter. The envelopes thinner, but more frequent. The charities he founded existed mostly on paper. The same tricks Nathan used, Ethan had refined them until they looked like good manners. I didn't go looking for proof. It found me. A woman came to my nonprofit one winter morning with her hands shaking. She had processed donations for a civic initiative connected to Ethan's PAC. The math never added up. Money entered one account, swirled through two literacy foundations, then surfaced as media buys and consulting fees, with his campaign's fingerprints on everything. She was afraid to go to the press. I told her the truth. You're safe with me. That was the first thread. Then came a small business owner who'd lost a city contract after refusing a consulting retainer to Ethan's old college friend. Then a staffer with panic in her eyes and a burner phone full of internal memos marked "Do Not Forward." Then a developer who confessed he'd been invited to a private breakfast where the price of access was politely folded into a napkin with the bill. I didn't sleep much. I didn't need to. I'd already done the years in the dark. Have you ever watched someone rebrand the harm they caused you as evidence that they've changed? Watched the crowds clap for the apology that never included your name. I stood in the back of his town halls and listened to Ethan talk about redemption. He wore repentance like a tailored suit. But repentance without repair is just public relations. I called in favors. Not the kind you buy, the kind you earn. Journalists I'd treated with respect when they had nothing to offer me. Auditors who remembered how carefully I had rebuilt my own case against Nathan. A city clerk who still kept a paper ledger because she didn't trust the digital systems Ethan's allies had installed. Piece by piece, we assembled the skeleton under Ethan's smile. A donor list padded with shell LLCs that shared a mailbox with a dry cleaner. A youth arts fund that spent 82% on strategic storytelling. A polling firm paid triple market rate, owned by a man who also owned, quietly, a chunk of Ethan's media company. And a private dinner at a riverfront club where a suggested gift bought a week's head start on a zoning vote. I could have run to the cameras and screamed. Once I might have. But I had learned patience in the long silence of Vermont. I learned that truth, to matter, must arrive slowly and inescapably, like the tide, not a splash. So I timed the drops. Anonymously at first. A memo here. A ledger page there. Enough to unsettle his staff, not enough to trace back to me. The campaign's press secretary smiled through his teeth and called the stories misunderstandings. Donors tightened their grip on champagne flutes. The numbers dipped, then steadied. Ethan called me then. It was late. The kind of hour that makes secrets feel lighter. He said, the nickname from childhood curdling on his tongue. I know you've still got feelings about the past, but this This is important. For the city. For the city, I repeated softly, watching the waveform of a recorded interview glow on my laptop. You sounded like you meant it when you said those words about me too. A pause. A breath. We both made choices. I closed my eyes. Only one of us made them on TV. He exhaled. If there's something you want, name it. Let's end the noise. There it was, the offer behind the apology. What I want, I said, is not for sale. I hung up. Then I made the next call. The second wave hit 2 days later. A clean, numbered packet delivered to 3 outlets at once: bank records, vendor contracts, the polite emails where bribes wore cuff links and called themselves consultations. A map of money that didn't need my name on it to be true. Reporters stopped smiling around him. The mayor's staff began to distance themselves. A debate moderator asked about the appearance of impropriety, and Ethan's jaw ticked in that small way I had seen since we were children, the tell he couldn't control. He smoothed his face, deflected, promised a full and transparent review. He thought he could outlast it. He thought I would blink. So I gave the story its ending. A junior aide, smart, too loyal, too new to know how quickly loyalty becomes collateral, agreed to meet me in a church basement. Fluorescents hummed. We sat in metal folding chairs like contestants in an old game show with no prize. I shouldn't be here, she whispered. I know, I said. Neither should the truth. She slid a flash drive across the table. He told us to route the donations through the foundation so they wouldn't count toward the cap. He said everybody does it. Did you record those meetings? Her eyes flicked to the exit. I didn't have to. She tapped the drive. He liked to rehearse his talking points, on camera. Ethan loved the mirror. He just never expected it to be held up to him. The last leak wasn't a leak. It was a dam breaking. A long-form piece dropped at dawn, screenshots, contracts, video. Ethan seated at a polished conference table, describing the gentleman's understanding of access, correlating gift levels to policy priorities, smiling as if he were reading a wine list. The article traced the money through the city like a river of polite theft. It asked the only question that mattered: if this is the comeback, what was the crime? He scheduled a televised interview that night, emergency damage control. The studio lights were forgiving, the host was not. She played the clips. She read the emails. She let the silence breathe. Ethan tried humility first, then outrage, then the wounded look that had worked so well on me when we were children. How do you answer the charge, she asked finally, that your second chance is built on the same behavior that ended your first? On my phone, messages ping like hail. Is this you? Did you see? Oh my God. I watched him swallow. I watched him reach for my trick patience and find it gone. He smiled, small and brittle. The city knows my heart. Does your sister? The host asked quietly. The smile died. For the first time all night, he looked like a man remembering the shape of a consequence. He ended the interview early. The statement came an hour later: withdrawal for the good of the city. His staff resigned in batches. Donors issued pious notes about disappointment. The Riverfront Club suspended private breakfasts. He called again. I didn't pick up. There was nothing left to say that didn't require a courtroom. People ask me if I felt joy. No. Relief, maybe. Not because he fell, because the truth finally stood up. Because the public record now included the part of our story he kept trying to edit out. You want to know what he did to me? He taught a whole city to clap for my humiliation so he could take a bow. He let my name carry a sin and called it leadership. He set the stage on fire and told them I brought the match. And when I built a life out of the ashes, he came back for a second curtain call. His second chance became his second death, not because I hated him, but because I refused to let the same lie live twice. I walked by the river that night, long after the feeds went quiet. The water moved the way truth does, slow, certain, stronger than it looks. I thought of Vermont, of the mattress on the floor, of the first woman who came to me with trembling hands and a ledger that didn't add up. I thought of the little girl I used to be, the one who believed you could fix anything in a family if you just worked hard enough. Some stories you fix, some you finish. Because that's the thing about redemption. It doesn't ask the audience to forget, it asks the sinner to repair. Tell me, if the person who broke you asked for a second chance without ever fixing what they shattered, would you forgive them, or would you make them face it?